Hello and welcome to The Person of the Therapist. In this series, we're really looking at what is the life developmental process that therapists go through, whether they be psychology, social work, counseling, the whole field. And today I'm delighted and feel very honored to introduce and really explore the life world for Yehuda Bergman. So Yehuda, if you would share with us first the specifics of your field, your discipline, and your specialization.
Okay, yeah. Hello, Dr. D. It's my honor to be here with you and share my experience. I am actually being trained in a field called expressive therapies. We incorporate all kind of creative arts in therapy. My actual specialization was drama therapy and psychodrama, but I am doing all the I'm using all the modalities basically. Um, with the years, I realized that actually I am working mainly with the trauma or post-trauma survivors. So I specialize in that, and I would say that currently I mainly work with trauma survivors and in the field of helping them recover from post-traumatic stress disorders.
Is this
Uh,
primarily adults, Yehuda, or is it um, children, teenagers, the whole spectrum?
I've been around for I would say 4 decades. I was working with kids. I was working with teenagers. Currently, I work mainly with young adults and adults.
Mm,
Uh,
mhm.
Sometimes with couples, but mainly young and that from young adults and up.
Okay. And I can see from your background that you're using not only you have music, I can see some art in the back there, and you have your figures. So you're using different approaches. When you say expressive therapies, you really are bringing in, I imagine, a full range of whatever is appropriate to meet the client's needs.
Right. The slogan is in the place where words are not being able to express or ended, then you use other forms of expression. And the creative arts are
Mm.
really amazing tools yeah, to enable our clients to express what's going on inside of them, that words not always enabling it.
It's so difficult to share trauma in one story
Exactly.
because of all the shame. So you're using all of these expressive mediums to really create safety, to create trust, to create a way of communicating so that you can really help them process.
Correct. And also to really express what's going on inside. Very
Mm.
frequently, as you probably know, in trauma, clients come with symptoms. Some of them know what caused those symptoms, and very frequently they don't necessarily know. But if you are trauma-informed therapist, you probably have some collection of responses and symptoms that you would say, hmm, that sounds like there was some sort of a trauma in the background. Let's try to explore that. Uh, and I found out that when clients realized that there was a reason for, or there is a reason for whatever they experience and the symptoms they experience, then it creates some sort of relief to a certain extent. Sometimes definitely brings up lots of strong emotions,
Mm.
but we're not afraid of emotions as long as
Right. Yeah.
there is a way to express them. And Yeah, the creative art modalities, which is through arts,
Mhm.
music, drama, role plays, figurines,
Yeah.
all of these writings, all of these definitely enables them to really connect and to bring out these emotions that are being cluttered and held inside for
Yeah,
so
the
long.
whole body holding
Thank you.
that. What is your theoretical perspective? Like you're using this array of the arts, which is so powerful. And I'm wondering what theoretical lenses do you use to understand and guide you in your responding to clients?
But I would say it's very eclectic, and I try to really intervene with what is right for the client. I don't necessarily follow a certain theory, but definitely probably as we continue speaking, you will get more or less the ideas of what has been developed with the years, just
Mm.
mainly from experience and what I learned from my own clients, actually, that is right and works for them.
Mhm. Um,
Uh, but
I-
besides, just overall, my approach is definitely exploring and disclosing the trauma, creating a safe environment for the clients to feel safe and being able to process whatever feelings and emotions are coming up. Yet we are not getting stuck there. My approach is to install hope and create healing experience for themselves by themselves. So they want on therapy all their lives. I want them to basically, at a certain point, to live and to be able to carry on with their own wisdom and abilities that they were able to acquire during this process, the therapy process.
I would I want to understand what values are really grounding all of this work. The way you speak, I hear the gentleness and the compassion, and the um, you want your all of your clients to come to a wholeness, to come to a completion, so that they're not trapped in the
Right.
trauma, and then release them. What values do you feel ground your therapeutic approach?
When you say values, what you're looking at?
If you were uh like hope is certainly one of the most powerful
Okay.
um values that we can hold, but also trusting in the client's ability to heal rather than be told what to do or interpreted what to do. And where do you feel your strengths come in?
So one of the things that definitely I do, and actually I'm using figurines for that very frequently, is doing parts work. And the parts work really makes the clients realizing that besides their hurt part, if it's the inner child or any part there that is in pain or was suffering from the traumatic experiences, there are also healthy parts in them and powerful parts in them. And at the moment that we kind of map up different parts in them, and very frequently in role plays, I also get them in those parts when they feel weak or they don't have the answer. So I don't give them the answer necessarily. I say, okay, let's tap into your wise part, to your compassionate part, and create there inside of you the ability to answer your questions or to give the comfort you need, or to reach out to whomever you need help from at that moment, but that you won't collapse, that you know what needs to be done and take care of your own self as you move on.
Mm.
So besides hope, definitely giving them strength and realization that they do have parts that were not affected. And even if they did, there is a way to recover from them. And sometimes we have to reconstruct certain parts in order to enable them to take care of their own selves and
Mm.
be the therapist or the parent or the compassionate person for their own selves. And
Huh.
yeah, the
Uh-huh.
drug is working.
You specialized and done a lot of training of therapists in forms of drama therapy. I wonder if you'd be able to share with us, without, with keeping confidentiality, some approaches that you use, or some examples that you have been impressed by when working in your approach. And I'm guessing you integrate drama therapy in different forms with your clients.
Right. Actually, just in these days, actually, few couple of years ago, I started to train groups of therapists who are doing what we call playback theater, which is a field that derives from psychodrama. I actually started this work in Israel after I've been trained here in America. I was the first one that started the playback theater in Israel back in the early 90s, 1991 actually. And since then, there are many, many groups in Israel that are doing playback. And I incorporating what playback is the person tells a life story or any story originally, and the group is playing back this story for the teller. So originally, the playback theater been
Mm.
developed to enable people in the community as a community service, actually, to tell stories and that they never had an opportunity to tell, and not only to tell the story, but also to get back a dramatic interpretation, including, as I said, acting and sometimes costumes and lights and music. So it's really become a piece of theater on the spot. I adapted that format to work with trauma because there is a very powerful options using or utilizing this format. When a client, for example, can't tell the traumatic story or the event, the chooses the actors to act the different roles, including the client's role itself, and then they watch in a way they direct the scene as it was. Um, at the same
Mm.
time as they directing it and watching it from some sort of a distance, I create on the stage three different spots. One is a safe place for the client that he chooses, and the other side is the emotional resemblance, what's going on inside of the client that we don't necessarily see in the main scene on the stage. After the client watch the scene, they have the ability to do something that hasn't been done in real life, but they wanted it to be done. If I could have, if I had a chance to do that and that and that during that scene, sometimes clients have it in their mind, and unfortunately, they never had the opportunity to do it, but they may be frustrated that they were not able to do it. So they able to suggest that after they watch it, suggest a change, yes, to fix the scene. Um, and then they are watching the fixed scene, something different that the client could have done or wanted to do.
Mm.
And then after they watch it and they approve it, I enable them to enter the scene themselves and really embody the experience.
Wow.
It's very, very powerful. And from my research doing it, I realized that clients from then on, whenever they had any kind of trigger or a flashback, always came with this corrective frame in it. So the ability to recover from the emotional outburst is much quicker, and the triggers are very, I mean, the reaction for triggers has been minimized, and it's really powerful tool. So at the moment, I'm doing mainly this work in Israel, and I trained the group there. I trained through groups there, but now I have some sort of a group that committed to do that. And yeah, we work with traumatic situations that you can imagine that are happening there now and all the time.
History and now. So overwhelming, the amount of trauma and grief. I also sense that the way you develop this is the community that comes together is a witness, non-judgmental witness, while the client is also witnessing, and then you collaborate with the client to direct, or are Yehuda, do you hold the whole process by, where are you in that process?
Yeah, I am directing it. I'm sitting with a client. I am, in a way, tell the client which direction, not the actual actions, but what needs to be done. I'm there to facilitate. I'm facilitating the whole session there. And the actors who are all trained in therapy themselves, they create the scene, but yeah, sometimes I consult with them or they consult with me, etc., how to present the scene. But you know, this is maybe an opportunity for us to do another interview just on that, and maybe I can bring some more examples from that. But you asked me what format, so this is definitely one of the formats that I like working with. And but it's I would say a certain stage in the trauma work that I'm doing. It's definitely not the beginning. It has to be after certain stages of working with the client. This is probably a more advanced stage where the client is ready to look back and try to fix certain situations that has or have been occurred in those traumatic experiences.
That's a lot of the complexity, the depth, and the power that you build in for safety, that it isn't just so many risks because family members get involved somehow, but you really trained therapists on how to move into the drama and create situations that then open to alternative ways, or as you said, maybe resolving something at least internally that never could have been said, or very much like it feels like a beautiful part of Gestalt that's been that you have created more safety, more involvement, and certainly community based. I'd love to have our conversation again, another session that would it would give folks some examples, and then we could go into detail that. I'd like to leap over to who Dr. Bergman is. Where did Yehuda come from that brought you? What about your life story brought you to this field?
That's a good question. Dr. D. I've been asked a few times, and at the beginning I said, well, I don't know, just, I don't know, one day I found myself as a therapist. But as actually, if I really look back, I was born and raised in Israel, and I guess I always knew that I'm going to work with people. I didn't know exactly why I have this drive, and somewhat people recognize this in a very young age. Friends, people from a very young age like to speak with me about issues that they have and stuff like that. Um, so I thought it's just my personality. I didn't necessarily know that it all started actually very early. Probably as I was born, I was born to, my mother was a Holocaust survivor. She lost, she was in camps in Poland and Germany as a young girl, where parents were taken away and got killed. And then after the war, she moved to immigrant to Israel, and I was born at a certain point, but I think that from a very young age, I felt that I'm holding her, she's not necessarily holding me. And this was my responsibility to kind of make her somewhat happy. So I guess that's where it all started. And living in Israel, there's always traumatic experiences there. Throughout my all upbringing, there were always wars and terror attacks, and I was myself in the army, and I was in a war as a combat a soldier in Lebanon, and yeah, so there is lots of, I guess, trauma background. And but I was, kind of a strong guy, strong boy, and after the war, actually in Lebanon, there was an opportunity. I thought, okay, maybe I should. I was always also a performer. I play the guitar and I sing. So this is something that I used to do, perform, and so the stage was, I was familiar with the stage, but standing behind the guitar and singing was a way for me to maybe express my emotions to myself. After the war, I thought, okay, I need to maybe go to school, and there was an opportunity to be accepted to theater school. Although I was not an actor, I said, well, I'll go and see if I can be accepted. So I went there. They asked me to act a role or something like that, and I said I don't know how to act, but I know how to sing. So I took the guitar, I sang. They said okay, accepted. They accepted me, and they said okay. Now in one of the classes we had to do some sort of a scene there, dramatic scene, and I was standing there and doing it with a partner. And when the scene ended, I see that all the class are crying, and I wasn't. And the teacher was really upset at me. He said, "What did you do?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Don't you see everybody is crying besides you? What's going on? All your body is completely tense, and held all the emotions that everybody could feel, yes, but you didn't let it out. Do it again," he said. And I was like, what do you mean? Emotions? And he said, yeah, let it out. And I did. And that's where I found, wow, I said, drama? has such power. I have to see if there is a way to connect that to psychology. Okay, so I did a little research and I realized that in that university that I went to in Tel Aviv, there was actually in the acting class, but third year, there is a psychodrama class. So I went to the teacher of psychodrama and I asked her, okay, so what is psychodrama? She told me. And I said, ah, that's exactly what I'm looking for. I need to learn that. And she said, okay, so in America, there is a school in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And actually, they have a branch in Israel. You can start here, take some credits here, and then yeah. So although after I graduated from that school and I got some offers to be in theater, I said, I'm not studying theater. I'm going for therapy. And at that summer when I graduated, I found myself in Cambridge, Massachusetts, studying my graduate school, grade school in expressive art therapies. And well, the rest is history.
Something changed. I hear the thread of your musicality, your ability to tap into emotions, and then that the scholarly journey to really build that into your practice. But at the same time, I hear an innovative, creative part of you, the invention then of how to you build a unique approach using your drama background, your music, and that lived experience of being in trauma, the world of trauma around you for so long, that these threads came together and you innovated this approach that again you call drama play. How do you call it, your approach?
Playback theater, you mean?
Playback
That
theater. Oh, that's
yeah.
perfect, because then the actors are playing back the original trauma scene as perceived by the client,
So,
so that feedback is continuing. It's at multiple layers. Was there something that you discovered, wisdoms along the decades that you cherish, that you would like to pass on?
well, I think so after I graduated, I got a job in Boston area, working with in an alternative high school with teenagers who had major behavioral issues and substance abuse and lots of trauma in their lives. This was my first job actually, and it was really fascinating because this was for me the best school. I realized that whatever I learned in school was not, I can't really implement in that environment because it was a war zone. It was really a war zone. And I learned it in the hard way, but I didn't give up. So one thing that I learned was to not give up and to be courageous. I think that as a trauma therapist, you have to have courage to do that, in order to be afraid, because I think that it's a good way for clients to also create the courageous part in them if they see that the therapist is not freaking out or become unable or disabled from working with them. Sometimes, as you probably know, the stories are really horrific, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's trauma. So working in that school taught me a lot. I was there 4 years before I had to move. Actually moved back to Israel, but Um, when I ended working there, I said to myself, no client can ever surprise me with anything because I was there. Really, I think that I had all the experiences you can even imagine that the clients can experience or test, even the therapist. It was the best school for me. And yeah, and since then, I'm in that field. I moved back to Israel and I started private practice. I also worked in the school system there, but at the same time, I started private practice in Tel Aviv, doing expressive arts. And another thing that I learned from a client, if you want, I can share that
Yes. Yeah.
this was a 3 years old client. So his mother brought him. She shared with me that when she was pregnant, uh, her husband, his father, got shot actually, and she was wise enough to realize that although he was still in the womb, he probably experienced major trauma because she was experiencing trauma. And he was 3 years old, and she said, "Yeah, I see already that he has some anxious, or is anxious. He needs to move to a new kindergarten, and he doesn't sleep well. He's coming at night to her bed, and he's wetting the bed still, and all that. So all kind of symptoms that he is struggling with something." So I said, "Yeah, okay, well, 3 years old, why not? Let's try." So he comes to the room, and my room back then had less figurines. I didn't work back then with figurines. I worked more with costumes and drama. So this 3 years old runs to the costumes, and it was mainly materials and some hats and all that. And he get dressed, and he said, "I'm a Ninja Turtle, and you also a Ninja Turtle." I said, "Okay, we are already in the dramatic space. Here's Ninja Turtle. You know, there is a TV
Yeah.
show, the
Yes.
Ninja Turtles, who lives in the sewer in New York City,
Oh,
and they eat pizza, and they are coming out at night usually to fight the evil, yes, and the bad things in the world." So he gave me even the names. There were some Italian artists, I think, all the name Michelangelo and Donatello, and so getting a name as well. And yeah, we start a series of probably around a year and a half. That every time is entering the room and there is no talk, it's just drama space
oh,
all the time. We are fighting the bad, and I took the role of the anxious turtle. That he had to help me overcome my fears, and every time his mother shared with me something that, so I kind of found a way to insert it to the role of the turtle. And he helped me a lot, how to overcome my fears, and that I didn't want to stay in my bed at night because tomorrow we have to fight again against the evil or something, some sort of a monster that is attacking our town,
hmm.
etc., etc. And this 3 years old is helping me to create more resilience and strength. Every time that we went out from the sewer, I had to futon mattresses in the room. So we were crawling between those futons and went out to the street. This was the way we did it.
The routine, right?
The routine, exactly. The routine. But before we used to put the shield, of the turtle, the back, and then all through those mattresses, and they come out, and whatever the scene was, it was. After like a year and a half, we're crawling out, and he's always had to lead because I'm the anxious one, obviously. And I see that he's not wearing his shield, and so I was still between those two futons. He was already out, and I was like, "Hey, you forgot the shield." And he's looking at me and said, "I know." And I said, "What do you mean you know? We never go out without the shield." And he said, "I don't need it anymore." I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "It's in my heart now. I don't need it."
How beautiful.
So he's catching my hand as he's pulling me, and he said, "You don't need your shield as well." Yes? Okay. And for me, it was like, wow, that's the moment we are ready to, in a way, end the process, yes, is in the right place. It was such a strong experience, and I was like, this little kid really taught me drama therapy. Yeah.
And the very humility, the very willingness to face fear over time, being so patient, and the courage that evolved. Like I just see those as very important underpinnings to make it safe to follow his lead. And for you, rather than that distancing kind of therapy mode, to really take on the anxious turtle and to follow his lead. It's such a beautiful play therapy, drama therapy, a really immersion into being the symbolic,
Right.
being in what a life, what a life change for him, and what a brilliant process for you to be able to hold. A 3-year-old teaches us so much.
Right. Yes. So obviously it was a very important stage in my own development as a therapist, to really be able to be there and in all ways for the clients and where they are, and
No matter their age.
exactly, yeah, 100%. So yeah, and probably I have many other stories, but I think this was the
That's very powerful.
one that really stands out as a unique one at the beginning of somewhat in the beginning of my career as a therapist.
Well, that 3-year-old has now, that one story has rippled out from you to all of us. And that little one's, unbeknownst to that one, the change, the transformations that may happen because of the courage and the spontaneity and the just your collaboration together. So beautiful. Yehuda, did you bring symbols today to represent how you've integrated, or what parts of you? Were there any symbols that you brought that you would like to share?
Well, you asked me to bring, so I do.
Okay.
Dr. D tells me to do.
Good thing.
So you wanted you wanted one to can you remind me what was the yeah.
I've given options to the interviewees, but is there a symbol then, one of them, that really represents who you are as a therapist, and then the other one is more about the problems that you work with and honoring the clients and their transformation, their journey. So these are really two journeys that come together with the purpose of healing, of honoring healing. So where would you go? And of course, they could be a million different representations.
You're right. So I was looking at something, and I a bit manipulated it. I'll try to hold it in front of the camera.
Ah, oh, yes, I see.
Okay, so obviously you can see that I connected three images. Um, one, can you see it?
Yes, perfect. This is good. It's nice and clear.
Okay, so there is the container, I think, that needs to contain the client with that they are containing their own inner child or own pain or whatever they are dealing with. So at the beginning, I see that that I'm some sort of a holding in a holding stage,
Mhm.
enabling or creating the safe containing place for the client. And there is also the uh, this guy Yoda. It's
Yoda.
not my name. My name is Yehuda, or some people call me Yuda. But my first clients in that school that I said in Boston bought me a doll like that. They got me because they thought that I'm Yoda. But he was the wise guy, and in the
Mhm.
movie at least, and I think that represents the
Yeah.
also the wisdom that I share with my clients, or actually try to connect them to their own uh, wisdom that
Mhm.
enable them to use it in their road to recovery from whatever they experience.
The middle figures um in the clay there just seem so powerfully folded in to represent not only the wounding but also the
Discard.
releasing. Yes, that.
Yeah.
And so it's a pardon me, a little baby figure being held by the protector,
Right.
and then the protector was being held by what looked like that very sort of Zen,
Right.
compassion, look at the kindness that just seems to exude from that one. And
Right.
there's strength in the hands, and as well as an openness and that centering. It just seems such a safe place to nest. And then wisdom, Yoda's um Yoda's strong character of, you're not going to get away with much here, but let me give you the what for. And that and his truth finding, um and seriousness about what must be healed, what must be transformed, what we must take responsibility for. That beautiful combination then of the three. I'm seeing that compassion, a stillness of your holding, and then the even just the color of the clay figures that are that are nested, right? That's the wounding, but also caring, looking inward. It's almost like an echoing, an echo, the inward, and then the more deep inner child, the vulnerable little child, and then a stronger heart that's being activated, being guarded and protected. I wonder, Yehuda, if any of the three, the the master holder there with humility and grace and fortitude, and Yoda, would any of the three have a wisdom that they'd like to share with us? If you could give voice to them, what would they say?
Um, well, I would go with probably this character. Say at this stage of when a client enters and start the journey, tell them the first stage. Yes, I am. It's going to be it is it's going to be not easy journey. yes, but I'm here with you in this journey, and we're partnering. Um, and I'm going to be here, and you're supposed to be here as well. I'm not going to run away, and you're not going to run away. This is a partnership, and sometimes, like in any journey, there are going to be hard times and obstacles, and sometimes you would need me to assist you, and sometimes I'm going to need your assistance. And yeah, as good partners, we have to be here together and to find ourselves at a certain point in point B. You are here now, we start the journey in point A, we'll be in point B, and then we'll decide if we need to go and where we need to go from there. But there is going to be some sort of a progressive movement in this process. Yeah, the
It
idea is
feels
not.
so collaborative, so that we both are, both client and clinician, the healer and the wounded, and the wounding and the healing is coming full circle. That representation can't happen if the one who is holding is uninformed, or it isn't keenly self-aware to be able to build that kind of trust that you talk to. I ask interviewees if they would select one of their figures to say something to themselves. That would be in silence, not shared with us. But if you were to select any of your figures to say something to you right now, but not to us, would you take a few seconds and let one of them speak to you? And we'll just be silent. We'll be quiet while you do that.
Yeah, I heard
How
you.
was that for you? Don't share what transpired, but being in silence and making that connection, which you already had before we even began our conversation. But silence is so important. How was this communication between you and them?
Yeah, it was emotional. It was good to hear, reassuring,
Mm.
and yeah, it was compassionate.
Mm. Dr. Bergman, if we were to bring closure and for you to share wisdoms, like if there will be young graduate students, there will be seasoned therapists, there will be people internationally who want to hear a wisdom from you. What would you most like to say to them?
We have to install hope for our clients. I think it's probably the major that we need to remember. Um, that's one thing. In order to install hope, we have to be confident that yeah, we can hold it. Yes, I think that it's important not to be scared to go deeper and to the core of the issue. Don't stay there only on the level of the symptoms, and try to manage those. The symptoms has a reason or have a reason to be, and we have to find the reason. Try to heal as much as possible from the origin and why things are going on, and then build on the client, as I said before, parts there that they are that we can build on. And don't get stuck in being therapists too long. Yeah, I believe that clients, even trauma-informed therapists, sometimes work too much around the trauma instead of moving on to work and strengthen those parts that hasn't been affected, or construct or reconstruct parts that can allow the client to move on and live healthy life. And that's in a way my focus. My approach is to after we do all the trauma work, not to get stuck there, but to really make them move on. And that's maybe the next image that you asked me to prepare, which is this. Again, I
Beautiful.
connected to is the first stage is to bring them out from the box. Yes, whatever it is. And the second one is this I think representing hope, openness, from the closed place to open. It's really allowing the vulnerability to be exposed in a way without fear, and really yeah, allow themselves to fly, to in a good way, yes, and move on in life in a good way.
That image just brought the turtle imagery back to be with you and the 3-year-old, with the being in the shell or the futons, and then coming out and eventually finding that security, trust, being able to find oneself. It's beautiful. Beautiful images.
Thank you.
The thing that rings true through our conversation is when you bring up the word courage and hope, I also reflect on how the therapists themselves must face their own woundedness, and your whole, as you described it, your whole life has had threads of an intimate presence of danger, of all kinds of violation and mortality, the real existential threats. And whilst not all therapists will have a lifetime to intimately understand those two, the live threat, mortality, and finding hope, and without both of these, that the therapist immersing and doing your own personal work is what brings those securely together to create safety. Would you find that what I've described is true for you?
Yes, I mean, you don't necessarily have to go through traumatic experiences in life to really understand trauma and know how to heal the trauma. But you do need to be able to connect to yourself, to do some good work with your own self. Fortunately, in my training, I did so many hours of being a client in psychodrama, in individual therapy, and all that really sometimes, yeah, I mean, things definitely can trigger something like that, which is good to know. Okay, this is, sounds familiar, but I am in a role of a therapist, and that's where I'm here for my clients. But obviously, if you did good therapy and all that, you're able to do that because it's not like, wow, I am surprised or something that kind of shocked me, or I was not expected to that. It's like, okay, it's just familiarity with your own self, and it's important that the clients be aware of that. When I trained clients back then, I mean, sorry, when I trained clinicians, I had two training programs in Israel, in two universities. So I used to say, as you enter the field of therapy, you have to start to develop a inner container for your clients' stories and emotions, which is separate from your own container. And I used to use this analogy, and I said, when your client's container feels like it start to be full or start to spill out, you probably this will be an indication you need to see somebody to give you supervision. If your own container become flooded, you have to go to see your therapist, and because you don't want each of them to flood and start to spill into each other's container. So it's something just to make them aware that yeah, you have your personal life and you have your role as a therapist. Yeah, those containers can be close to each other, but they can't spill into each other. You can't take your client's stories home with you because then it won't enable you to live life. And obviously, you can't bring your own life to the session with your clients. So yeah, because you don't want to use your clients to treat your own stories. So that's basics, I know, but sometimes we have to remind it to the therapists. So
All that humanity. Yeah.
yeah,
Yehuda, it is such a joy and honor to be with you for this time. I appreciate the wisdoms, but the life experience that brought you to the competency that you use in training therapists, and then again rippling out ways of doing therapy that are anchored in community, that are meaningful, that go to depth rather than the distancing. And I just appreciate the kind of courage and depth and collaborative spirit that you bring as a human being. Thank you so much for
thank you,
being
Dee.
with, and we'll do this again.
Okay, thank you. It was my pleasure to converse with you and share anything I could share. You know how much I respect you. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Yehuda, and thank you all for joining us for this interview process. I look forward to being with you during our next interview. Until then, take gentle and very good care. Thank you. Take good care, Yehuda.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.